It is rare that I get to chop it up with someone that I have literally known for a decade plus in this industry. A lot of times you come across people and it's fly by night. You work with them for a few months, maybe a year at the most, and then you never see them again. But my next guest, who is making a return to the DCMD podcast, I've known this man for a very long time, decade plus. We got started in the sports media game together. He has come a long way. He has pivoted into the comedic game. He is a writer. He is a comedian. He is a host. He has done a lot of things in the comedic space. He's been in the same rooms as some of your favorites. So he is a guy that has seen a lot and has done a lot. And quite honestly, when it comes to NFL draft season, when it comes to people breaking down their big boards, and they'll always make sure to tweet it out, there's only one big board pause that I'm looking for when it comes to draft time, and it's the big board of my next guest, Funny Man Stan, on the Elon app and the Zuckerberg app, Twitter and IG if you're unhip. He is Stan Talouis. Let me make sure I bring him in here the correct way, get the splits up here. We're doing fancy shit here on YouTube. Stan Talouis is my guest. Stan, welcome back to the DCMD podcast. What's up, bro?
Thanks for having me, man. This is we've been talking about this for a while because every so often we're like, man, it's been too long. We gotta because we can go for hours. I know you and I
For
can just,
sure.
just
Yeah.
talk about anything, comedy,
Stream of
sports,
consciousness, you know
radio.
what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Yeah.
just yeah. So
Yeah.
this is a long time coming. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, man. Always, man. You're someone who I always make sure to follow on social. You still out there putting out good content. You're putting out videos of your shows, your stand up, and everything like that. You also do pods and stuff like that. So I want to make sure Black creators and actually good, funny creators, regardless of race, creed, or color, actually get a chance to shine, especially when they're doing it independent like you are. So,
I appreciate
man,
it. Yeah.
look. This sports thing is a lot. Obviously, we're coming off super wild card weekend. Why it's super, I have no idea. But it's a lot of sports stuff going on. Dana White, you're a big college football guy, so I always lean to you when it comes to the U and
Yep.
Mario
Yep.
Cristobal and
Absolutely.
everything with that. So what has stood out to you lately when it comes to sports? I know you had a tweet about that video of the third graders going crazy,
Yeah.
saying that they small and I'm him and all that type of
Yeah.
shit. But what have you seen in the sports world lately, man?
Well, I like lately I've been paying. You brought up Miami. I've been paying attention to a lot of recruiting. Early signing day passed, and now we're in transfer. I think today was the closing window of the first transfer portal. So guys are taking visits. Actually, I think there's a big recruiting camp happening this weekend in Florida. So a lot of recruits. So like that's what I've been paying attention to. A lot of
Hmm.
the Under Armour game and the U.S. Army All American Bowl. So as far as Miami goes, there's been a lot of drama. You got so the number two recruit, the second highest rated recruit. I think he's the number one defensive recruit in the country. Cormani McLean. He was originally a Florida commit, and he flipped to Miami, and now with Deion Sanders going to Colorado, there's rumors that he might flip to Colorado, and this is
Yeah.
shade of last year when Deion got Travis Hunter to flip from Florida State. So Miami fans are it's testy right now because you got half people saying no, we need Carmani. He's an elite prospect, a 5-star cornerback, the highest rated corner like defensive prospect we probably have ever especially in the 24/7 era.
Right.
And you got the other side saying, well, he's a diva, and we don't need him. We even without him, we have the a top five class, which is great. Where I fall, look, I'm not gonna sit here and judge a 17, 18-year-old kid for their decisions. If you had told me at 17 or 18 years old, hey, we're gonna give you X amount of money to go to whatever school, like who knows if I'd make the right decision. So I'm not gonna sit
Yeah.
here and you know scream obscenities at a teenager.
Right.
Would I love him to sign? Yeah, he could come in and start day one. Um, but if he doesn't, more power to him. At the end of the day, I hope he's successful wherever he goes, whether it's Colorado, Miami, wherever, and has a successful career in the NFL. I do think Mario's come in and um, I'm talking like in one off season has totally changed this team. Um, People don't realize the mess that Manny Diaz left in Coral Gables. Like the Miami recruits itself,
Right.
but
Still.
right, you don't need a great recruiter, but you have to put in some kind of effort because even without a good recruiter, even without great recruiters, we're able to still put out NFL talent. You look at the NFL now in the playoffs, guys like Rayshon Jenkins making plays for the Jaguars. You have Calais, like it's just all over the NFL. We're seeing Miami Hurricanes make plays.
Yeah.
So without being able to recruit or develop, we're still putting out NFL players. That being said, what Mario has come in and done in one offseason, we've already landed the top two offensive tackles in the country, Samson Okunlola and Francis Marigoa. We got Francis Marigoa's brother to transfer from Washington State to be our linebacker,
Okay.
to be probably our starting linebacker on the weak side. And then you've got uh, transfers, Javion Cohen from Alabama, Matt Lee from Central Florida, who was the I think the third highest rated center in the country. He's come in and revamped this offensive line. Just yesterday, Jake Garcia decides he's going to enter the transfer portal. We've got Tyler Van Dyke coming back. We've got a loaded running back room. All we're really missing is a number one wide receiver, and there are guys taking visits. Right now, we're in a state of flux because Frank Ponce, our quarterbacks coach, went back to Appalachian State to be the offensive coordinator. State personally, I know a lot of people want him to go. I think I'd like to see him stay one more year, cook with some players that want to be here, that aren't going to slack off and have the right mentality. Because I don't think what he did at Michigan the year prior was a fluke. Um, Give him talented players and let him see what he can do. Now, if he wants to leave, that's on him. I trust Mario to bring in the right people to turn this ship around. That being said, I don't think Miami's going to be that much better so quickly. I think we'll be improved from 5-7, but we've got a tough schedule coming up next year. Uh, I would say we'll be in bowl contention. I think Miami
Okay.
will be above 500. I don't think they're going to contend for the ACC just yet. I think give give Mario Cristobal the opportunity to bring in another top five recruiting class because we know we can do it, especially with the resources, and then we'll see where Miami stands.
There's a lot there I want to touch on, but I think the first thing is like clearly with Cristobal, his number one strength is as a recruiter. He's a top notch, if not the best recruiter. He's like no more than top three. Like he's one of those, right? He's a monster recruiter. I think though, as a coach, at times last year, his very prehistoric style of football, like as much as we're seeing pro style offenses and sometimes the spread still finds its way to sneak in there. He's very old school, not necessarily 3 yards in a cloud of dust, but not that far from it. So
Right.
as a UM guy, he'll bring the talent. I'll never be concerned about whether he can recruit. He can always recruit his ass off. Are you concerned though about once he gets that talent, how they are actually schemed on the field?
No, I think what Mario wants to do is build an SEC style roster in the ACC. We're
Okay.
seeing already we're seeing the size differences between guys that Manny Diaz was bringing in, that Mark Rick was bringing in. Not that Mark Rick did a bad job. I think Mark Rick actually did a pretty good job, and but Manny didn't continue that. Um, so I think once you start seeing the guys develop under Mario, I think we're gonna see. Yeah, it's gonna be very pro style, very run heavy, and it might not necessarily translate to number one receivers putting up numbers, but if you win games, that's at the end of the day, guys are gonna show up. You look at
Right.
Georgia. Georgia doesn't run that much of a spread.
Yeah.
They just
Kirby's
have
not
horses. Right,
he's not doing anything crazy over there. Yeah.
right. You look at what Alabama's doing. You look at what Georgia's doing. It's just I mean, the national championship, what they did to TCU was insane. Like, it's just, you give your quarterback
Manhandled.
time in the pocket. Yeah, you give your quarterback time in the pocket. You create these running lanes for your running backs. And then that he wants to run a run first offense, and that'll it's listen. This is as a tale as old as time. You run the ball well, that opens the play action game, and wide
Yep.
receivers are gonna get open. It's just
Yep.
you're not gonna be able to, you're gonna have to put guys on an island. And
Yeah.
is Wake Forest gonna be able to do that? Is uh you know Virginia Tech, are they gonna be able to keep up with these monsters, these monster lines? You look at the
Even Clemson, they
yeah,
clearly have taken a step back.
yeah, exactly. Look. I'm not gonna sit here and say Clemson is totally out of it. I
Right.
like Cade Klubnik had a bad bowl game,
Yeah.
but he was a high rated recruit for a reason. I trust Dabo, and I trust what they're able to do. I think losing Brent Venables is gonna be a long term hurt,
Mm-hmm.
but it is what it is. I think what Mario Cristobal wants to do is just establish a culture, establish an SEC type of culture in the ACC, and I think it won't be very long before, if he keeps stacking these elite classes. Like, you look at, like, Ruben Bain is coming in, and he may not start. He's got Cyrus Moss ahead of him. He's got
Mm-hmm.
a lot of these guys that have already been in the program are ahead of him. This defensive line is going to be insane. A whole new linebacking core. We've already got Robert Stafford playing corner. He's probably going to start right away. It's just weeding out the guys that don't want to be there. The people that didn't want to be there, they transferred out, and more power to them. But
Right.
it's culture first.
Yeah, and you mentioned the recruit that was out there, the DB that was flirting with Deion, and it was funny because I tried to stay neutral. I have my opinions on Deion and everything he's trying to do in Colorado, and I'm not trying to ride on him. So I try to pick my spots. But the fact that him and then we get to another former U guy, Ed Reed, have been able to get jobs at HBCUs where they probably weren't qualified to be head coaches, but they were able to use their clout, use their name recognition, use their resumes to get jobs they were not qualified for. And to see that they are just, well, in Deion's case, he certainly has found a way to flip it and make it about himself, which is, I mean, he's primetime, he's neon Deion. That's always what he's done. But
Hmm.
Ed Reed, the way that he's come at Bethune Cookman
I didn't like it at
and
all.
bro, and I'm like, yo, I would have expected that from any of them other you guys from that era. Ray Lewis, any of those guys. Hell, even Shockey, although that would be just amazing if he was a coach at the HBCU. But just
Right.
any of those guys, Santana Moss, any of those guys. But like seeing Ed Reed, who seemed to be the most on the level, down home, New Orleans kid, to see him talking kind of greasy about Bethune Cookman and that whole thing. Give me your thoughts on that.
I didn't like. Look, I didn't like it at all. I love Ed Reed. Look, I'll be honest with you. Ed Reed has been kind of going down a weird slope, saying some.
Really,
There was
put me on game. I'm not hip.
I don't remember what it was exactly, but there was a situation. I think it was, yeah. I think he might have chimed in on the Kyrie stuff, and like,
Oh, okay, okay,
once you
yeah,
start talking about, like, look,
yeah,
I growing up in New York, we've seen the Black Israelites, and we know what it's
right.
like.
It's
I
nothing
don't
new to
I don't
us.
Yeah, I don't argue with those guys because you're not
No,
changing them.
no,
But so Ed Reed had some things to say about Kyrie, and I get it. Look, we want to defend Kyrie. But Kyrie's an adult. Kyrie's 30 years old.
right,
He knows what to say and what not to say, and sometimes I think he's trolling. So, but
yeah,
that aside, I didn't like how Ed Reed approached the Bethune Cookman thing because, I'll credit Van Lathan for making this point.
hmm
Um, on his podcast, Thought Warriors, great podcast, and it's like guys like Dion, guys like Ed Reed, who went into college highly touted prospects,
yep,
got everything they wanted. Maybe got paid. No, we're not saying they got paid. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. But, like, they didn't they didn't have to I shouldn't say settle, but they didn't have to settle for any opportunity because they were highly
Right.
sought after. And they to have an opportunity to give back, it's like these HBCUs are here to give opportunities to the players and the students that can't get into Notre Dame and can't get into
Right.
Vanderbilt and can't get into University of Virginia because of whatever it is, money, grades, access, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, ironically, Deion and Ed Reed wouldn't have had an opportunity to become a head coach anywhere else without an HBCU. Here are these HBCUs offering you this chance with no experience to they're offering you this opportunity to be a head coach. Like Ed Reed was assistant DB's coach, like not even a defensive coordinator.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how can you expect that this university to roll out the red carpet when you literally don't have the resume of a big time coach? You're just a
Right.
big time name. You're a celebrity. You're like a
Yeah.
social media influencer. They're
Yeah.
just bringing you in off the hype, hoping that you could drum up some bread, drum up some donors, some boosters. Maybe you get a couple of 4 stars to fall your way that you would have never gotten if Ed Reed doesn't put his name on it. And then, you leverage that to your next job. Because clearly we know Ed Reed's not staying. Ed Reed is not trying to
No.
be the next Eddie Robinson, nor was Deion. So they're all there for a quick flip. So it's like, you're not fooling me by acting like you're putting in all this work. Oh, I got to clean up around here. They don't even got my office ready. You went crazy on the gram. And it's
Yeah.
like, bruh, what did you expect? You don't even
Yeah.
have a contract yet. You
Right.
didn't even sign anything yet. And you're running around cleaning up. That's on you.
Right. Also, why are you on social media putting your team? Like, how are you like as a recruiter, as a coach?
Talk
Like,
about that. There you go. Yep.
me, if I'm a player and I see my future head coach come in and bash the campus, the office, the field, whatever.
Why the hell would I want to go there?
Why would I want to play for you?
Yes, exactly.
Like, especially
Exactly.
if you have no resume to speak of. Like, I'll give Deion credit. Deion coming into Colorado and telling everybody to hit the transfer portal. Like, first off, I thought that was super foolish because if you're any quarterback, if you're perfect example, Jalen Rashada, who asked out of his NLI with Florida. Jalen Rashada, why would he go to Colorado now? Because he knows right off rip he's not starting over Deion's son.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like,
Another Colorado QB today just hit the portal. I
Yeah.
don't know what took him so long because the starter knew off rip. As soon as he
Right.
came in talking that I'm bringing my luggage in his Louis, that kid was already on the portal like, nope, I'm out. I know what that means. That means Shador.
like, so my thing is like, why with no experience, and I'm like I said, I give Deion some credit because he did turn Jackson State around, but I mean he's also been able to bring in talent that they would have never brought in anyway.
Exactly.
I'm still not.
Yeah.
I'm still not. I don't know. I haven't checked to see if Travis Hunter officially transferred yet, but
He
I'm sure
has.
he will.
He's
He has.
going there. Yeah, he's going
So
there.
there you go. I will say
He's gonna bring him. He's gonna bring him.
Yeah.
He's very much like, he reminds me a lot of Cristobal. We know he can recruit. He just puts
Yeah.
the name out there. Deion, he comes to your crib. He's wearing the suits. He's still got the jewelry. He's always with a fine woman on his side. He got the cameras. That will sell a lot of 17-year-olds to make them sign on the dotted line.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, do we know if he can coach? Because like,
Glad you brought that up. That's
you
a
know what
great
I'm
question.
saying? Like, well, what
We're
scheme
gonna
is he
find
running?
out.
I don't know. Like,
We're gonna find out right away if he can coach because this is a totally different ball game. Colorado
this ain't the swag,
was
bro.
awful. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Colorado was awful last year, and
1-11, trash.
0-8 in the conference.
Yeah,
Now-
Pac-12.
You can make the case in a couple years when USC and UCLA move to the Big Ten with a couple recruiting classes. Maybe
Right.
we'll see. But like it's
If he's still
not
there.
gonna, if he's still there, it's not going to be an overnight turnaround. This was a bad roster.
Yeah.
So what's a good what and the spotlight is going to be there. This is Pac-12. Fox Saturday nights. Like
Yeah.
you're going to be under the lights in USC, in UCLA, Arizona,
Oregon State. Like, ain't no pushovers. Colorado was the pushover.
Yeah, and look, you know, okay, uh, USC and UCLA leave. Oregon is not bad.
Yeah.
And Dan Lanning came from Georgia. He knows what he's doing. He learned
Yeah.
under Kirby Smart. He's a Saban disciple. He's not coming in there to do nothing. So I'd still be afraid of Oregon. I'd still be afraid of Oregon State. Utah,
Utah is a problem.
Has been great. Like
Yep.
they've like Cam Rising has been like one of the better quarterback prospects I've seen in a while. I don't know if it's gonna translate to the NFL, but like
Hmm.
this is it's not gonna be easy for Deion. What's gonna happen when when USC smacks him 42 to
Facts.
10? What's gonna happen?
They
Like
going to deal
how's
with
he gonna
Caleb
react?
Williams. They're going to deal with Caleb Williams.
Yep.
Good
What are
luck.
you gonna like?
Travis
Yeah,
Hunter, you're going to be on an island against Caleb
yeah,
Williams throwing the rock. Good luck.
exactly. Like these are not slouch teams. Like I mean, you speaking of USC, you look their coaching is there. They
Lincoln
have the
Riley's a
resume.
monster. Yeah.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. The guy just produces Heisman winners. That's all he
Yep.
does.
Yep.
He wakes up and produces Heisman winning quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So I look, Travis Hunter. Good luck to you. I hope I wish him well, but like this is not going to be easy. And
Do you think
look,
he one quick
yeah.
thing with Travis? Do you think because I heard Deion say this and it made me think Deion actually thinks in the league he'll be a better receiver. Do you
Yeah.
see that, or do you think he's still more of a natural Revis Island type DB?
I've seen him as I like him better as a safety. To be honest with you,
Okay.
he reminds me like watching his high school tape. He reminded me so much of like a Earl Thomas, just like a guy that can play center field, free safety, load up in the box, hit somebody, and draw the ball loose, kind of like that. Um, I think his body type lends to safety more than corner, but he's got incredible ball skills, so he can play corner. Um, and because of those ball skills, I think he can play wide receiver as well. I I think it's tough to say. I'll be honest with you.
Hmm.
I you know
I mean, he's an
I've seen,
all world athlete, so he could damn
yeah
near do
it's
whatever he
yeah.
wants. You know what I'm saying?
Now
So
at Jackson State he was able to.
right,
Um, he's the best player in that conference probably.
exactly.
Now
Yeah.
now at Colorado, I mean you don't want to. He's Travis Hunter's going to start thinking about, okay, let me. I'm going into my sophomore year now. I got to put up better number. I got to put up good numbers against better competition, and
Hmm.
then next year to I can kind of like he's gonna if he's smart he'll pull a Jadeveon Clowney where he has an insanely good sophomore year and he can coast his junior year into the league and that's it.
Right.
Um, with that being said, I think he's better off playing corner.
Okay.
Um, take less shots, less opportunity to get hurt, don't return.
That's
Like
facts.
I think he's long term he's a corner, but he has the skills to play wide receiver.
Got you. And look, the Dion thing is obviously a hot topic, and I've been trying to keep an eye on it. And one thing I've been asking people, I've been getting a mixed bag of answers. Clearly, the only reason why Dion got into coaching, and he's admitted as such in that interview he did with Shannon Sharp, is he got into coaching because he saw his sons being coached inferiorly, if that's a word.
Hmm.
And so he jumped into coaching to teach them the right way and teach other kids like them. Once Shador graduates, or assuming he leaves after his junior year,
Hmm.
what's the if the only incentive for him to coach has been to make sure his sons get a chance? And clearly it looks like Shador is at least on the pathway to at least making the league. I don't know what round he'll be drafted in once he gets there, but he's on the path to at least make the league. Once he's gone, and we know how Deion is about bouncing and about the money, and he can do whatever he wants whenever he wants.
Hmm.
What's the incentive of him staying at Colorado if he's even there once Shador leaves?
I think I think you're right. I don't think there will be much incentive, especially if they struggle. If they can't become bowl eligible,
Hmm.
you know, if they make a bowl but get embarrassed, if like I feel like the only thing that's going to keep Dion in Colorado, um, past Shador is going to be like a turnaround. Like I'm talking about
Big
10 wins
success. Right,
right
right.
right away. If there's any sort of if they, I mean, Shador could play well and they could, finish, 5-7,
7-5. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I think if they struggle, and his sons aren't there, there's no why would he stay?
Yeah, I mean, because it's not like it's the bag, because people are so caught up in the bag, and yes, the bag is certainly more than what he got at Jackson State. But let's clear up that myth, because everyone's like, oh, he gave half his salary. Yes, he gave half his salary. His salary was 300K, so half of that is 150K. The average salary for someone in the FBS as a coach is 160. So it's not like he was out here below poverty means and he couldn't find
Right.
a check. This guy had NFL career, MLB career, broadcasting career. But when it comes to bread, Deion's good.
Yeah, he's got Hall of Fame money. Like
Yeah, he's
he's fine
straight. He does advertising with Saban.
with
He's good.
Affleck. Yeah, he's fine.
Right. He's fine. So it's like the notion of, oh, he had to pay this money to fix up the facilities. That's the least he could do. That's
Right.
why you bring him in, because
Right.
you don't got the boosters who can give like that. You don't have
Right.
a booster who could come in and drop 150K and fix up all the facilities in one fell swoop. That's why you go get a Deion. So I'm not here to make him like he's the Pope or he's some shit because he decided to give half his bread. He could do it. And that's part of why he went there, and that's part of why they allowed him the job when he wasn't qualified to get it in the first place.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to what Van Lathan was saying. Is like, it's like Ed Reed. It's foolish and it's irresponsible to to speak about these facilities like this when without them you couldn't get a defensive coordinator job.
Right.
Like
Right.
like like what are we talking
He's
about?
living off his name.
Right.
That's all he has to bring to any job. I'm Ed Reed.
And
You know what I'm
let me tell
saying?
you, but I've watched Bethune Cookman like over the past few years because for whatever reason, Miami keeps scheduling Bethune Cookman.
Yes. Yes.
And listen, the next season
It's a lot
we
of
got
work.
Bethune Cookman on the schedule, like,
Boat
and
race.
I that game. If last year's game was what it was with this roster, I'd like to see what they're gonna do, what Miami's gonna do against Bethune Cookman next year. So,
Right.
Ed Reed, I look, it's it's not gonna be easy, and I think he's putting himself behind the eight ball, doing what he's doing. That being said, I hope what I really hoped, and I think it was naive of me. I really hope that Deion would have stayed at Jackson State, and I hope that Ed Reed decides to stay at Bethune Cookman. I don't think they will. Obviously, Deion left, but I don't think it's good for HBCUs for guys to come in for a year or two and then turn it around and then leave because what are you doing? Like you look at the Eddie Robinson, set a legacy. Look at Grambling. Look at
Right.
set a legacy there. Build some roots. I think what I would like to see some of these guys do, whether it's Ed Reed, Deion Sanders, whatever. Yeah, come in, bring notoriety, bring the eyeballs to Jackson State, and then give opportunities to the other people that aren't getting coordinator jobs, that aren't getting head coaching jobs.
Right.
That the I'm sure somewhere there's someone there's some high school coach out in like you look at some of the high school coaches in Florida, man, and especially in South Florida and Miami. Like some of these guys are like Miami Central. You look at IMG Academy, these powerhouses.
Mm-hmm.
Give those guys an opportunity to have be position coaches in at some of these schools or coordinator jobs. Give them the opportunity to kind of build their resumes, and then someone else who's a position coach at IMG Academy at Miami Central, Booker T. Washington, let
Right.
them come in and be the head coach. Like that's
Pay
how
it
you
forward.
that's how you do it. Yeah, pay it forward. Just leave a legacy.
Yeah, it's a thing where if you look at the main thing, especially with like Ed Reed, at least with Deion, he had some sort of credibility as a coach, as a
Mm-hmm.
head coach, even though it was his own thing, the Prime Prep Academy,
Right.
whatever that was. But with Ed Reed, it's like, bruh, one, you're going to Bethune Cookman, never really known for its football, not known as a football powerhouse. At least we know Jackson State used to be back in the day. They got 4 NFL Hall of Famers, so there was at least a legacy there prior. Bethune Cookman's had a handful of guys in the league, but not like a long-standing tradition of putting guys in the league. You're going to a squad that's at the bottom in terms of no notoriety, no tradition, no
Oh,
legacy,
money.
no money. You're going there and you're working there hands on. You don't have an office yet. You haven't signed any paperwork yet. You're trashing the school before you even sign with the school. So now, what kid, as you mentioned earlier, what three or 4-star, which is probably an ideal range. And they're not getting no 5 stars there because he's not. I think that's the main thing. Like Deion's Deion. He could just
Right.
walk in and go get your kid. I don't get that same energy from Ed Reed. He can motivate you,
Yeah.
word. But I don't know if that's working on a 17-year-old. I don't know if that's working on a single mother of 3. I don't know if that's working on, a uncle that's taking care of his brother's kids. I don't know if that's working on them because it sounds good if you're a player, if you're going to war with him. But motivating
Right.
outside of that, like what are you bringing to the table besides I'm Ed Reed? And the
Look,
way
I
that he's
love
acting,
I
I feel like
love
he's
Ed
got the
Reed.
resume of Deion, and he doesn't.
I love Ed Reed. I do. He's obviously him and Sean Taylor are the pinnacle as far as Miami DBs for me.
Salute.
Um,
Yep.
but having watched Ed Reed come into University of Miami and be the chief of staff,
Mm.
I you can ask Miami fans on all levels. We don't know what he did. We don't know what his impact was other than being on the sideline on game day. Like we don't know if he's helping the safeties. We don't know if he's in the DB room. We don't know if he's talking to linebackers. We don't know if he's recruiting. Like Manny Diaz brought him in and it's great. And but what is like I don't know what his impact has been. Like Jason Taylor, who was not a Hurricane, who went to
Mm.
Akron
Right.
and
Right.
and Akron Zip.
Yeah.
Only he played for the Dolphins. You know, Jason Taylor has had more of an impact as an analyst, as an on-field analyst, than Ed Reed has, and that's only because I've heard stories about, especially in recruiting, Ruben Bain coming in and saying Jason Taylor had a hand in talking to me about what my impact could be. Cyrus Moss coming in saying, "Oh, in practice, this is what Jason Taylor's doing." I not once have I heard Cam Kinchins, Avante Williams, James Williams. I haven't heard any safety on the team say, Ed Reed sat me down and taught me about
Mm.
angles, and I've never heard anything like that. Miami fans we don't know what Ed Reed does, and that's why nobody was really upset when he took the Bethune Cookman job. I'll be honest with you, Frank Ponce announced he was going back to Appalachian State, and we were like, oh man, we don't have a quarterback coach. This is uh-oh. When Ed
Right.
Reed announced he was going to Bethune Cookman, we're like, all right, cool, yeah, whatever.
That's sick. That's sick.
And I love Ed Reed, but like again, like you brought it up earlier, what's your scheme? What do you bring to the table other than you're a great DB? You're like,
Right.
can you teach? Can you motivate? You can
That's
recruit, but
important.
then can you develop?
That part. That part. And at least with Deion, we've seen it. We've seen him develop kids. He's developed
Right.
his own sons. He clearly has had an impact on Travis Hunter already. So like we have seen it. He's brought in other 4 and 5 stars that have flourished under him. So at least we know he can recruit them and he could develop them. Now we still don't know about the scheme and actually coaching and time management, all of that stuff. But we know at a baseline, he could bring them in and he could build them up. Whereas with Ed Reed, we've got no evidence of anything besides I'm Ed Reed and I'm famous and I'm an NFL Hall of Famer. So give me your 17-year-old.
I hope it works out for him. I do, but
I
I
hope
don't
so.
know.
Yeah, and I think the HBCU thing, why is Eddie George quiet? I'll move off of this, but Eddie George has been, tugging along, been doing his thing as a HBCU coach, famous NFL running back, and has said not one syllable during any of this stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting that he's been quiet. To be honest with you, he's been so quiet. I didn't know he was at Tennessee State until yesterday.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I figured once the Deion stuff popped off, people would have went running to Eddie George, like, yo, what's up with your mans?
Hmm.
at least to get a response. Like, well, I'm hearing more from Eddie Robinson Jr. that's not even related to the real Eddie Robinson more than I'm hearing about Eddie George. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. I mean, now that I know he's at Tennessee State, I do want to pay. I think there's somebody else that's at an HBCU coaching. I could be thinking A Robinson, but what's interesting is like no, but like the only people that are like even Shannon Sharp hasn't said much yet.
He's he's
Um,
he, he's too busy swinging from Deion's.
well, yeah, but like you there, like you said, there are guys in the NFL from HBCUs, and I think this is the kind of thing that where I guys should be more vocal. I think we should be like someone like Chris Paul who went back to Winston Salem to get his degree, and like
Mhm.
why he do. I would love to hear what like I mean I know how you feel about Chris Paul because I feel the same way, but
Okay, all right.
but I'm curious like how do you feel about this? Here's Chris Paul who's trying to shed light on HBCUs, you know, not saying anything like I'm look. I'm
A
not saying
lot
we
of
should
people
be
are quiet right now,
shaming.
man.
I'm not saying we should be shaming Ed Reed, but like someone should be like, hey, look, man, like this isn't the way.
No, it's not. It's not. And there's an opportunity here to bring light to underserved schools. There's a chance to bring some notoriety back to these schools and to help the enrollment, help the endowment, all of that type of stuff. And dudes are too busy just trying to use them for a flip, use them for a
Yeah,
come up. And this is problematic and it's kind of indicative of society. You know what I'm saying? Like no one's down to really stay and rebuild. It's just, all right, well, what's in this for me? Well, what can I get out of this?
yeah,
Because you look at Deion, back to back undefeated seasons. They tricked it off in the bowl game twice, 2 years in a row. That's fine. But you do all of that, you had to excel at that level, and you got the worst Power Five
yeah,
job in the country. That was the highest ceiling. Now he claims there was other schools, and I was in talks with this one. I'm on, sure, buddy. But the fact of the matter is, you chose the worst Power Five school in a conference that, as you mentioned, in a few short years, might not even be that lit once
right,
USC and UCLA shake. So it's like you had to do all of that just to get to Colorado, and then they
right,
didn't even have the bread up front. They basically got you on layaway.
yeah,
You left a school that you complained about about the finances and the back end and the ticket revenue, the kickbacks, all of that stuff. You left that for a school that admitted up front we don't got it.
right.
That's kind of crazy to me.
It was interesting too because when the Auburn job opened up, like everybody was like, okay, Dion might jump to Auburn. People
Right.
were talking about Florida State maybe pushing out Norvell to bring in
Mm-hmm.
Dion, but maybe Dion has doesn't he's pissed off because they didn't bring him in sooner, whatever
Yep.
it is. So when he took like everybody was shocked when he took the Colorado job because I mean it's a bad job.
Yeah.
Um, so he's got no ties to the area, and I'm like
No.
I think he's gonna struggle. I can't it's just I can't see how he doesn't because it's gonna be too difficult to play catch up with in Colorado. But I don't think he's thinking about that. I think he'll come in, do a year or two, maybe win a couple games, and then his son will be gone, and it'll be like, well, I tried.
Right. I think, and I'll wrap on the Dion thing here. I think in his mind he's like, all right, I'll go to the worst school because they'll give me the most control. I'll
Yeah,
come in, I can shape this thing exactly how I want. I don't have to worry about no boosters. I don't have to worry about no overseer. They're bowing down to me off rip because they're 1-11. They got all this bread. They got this beautiful facility, and there's no 5 stars here. So I'm
hmm
gonna bring all of my 4 and 5 stars here, and whoever I can snatch in the portal and NIL deals, and we just gonna take this whole damn thing over. And while I think that's dope, that just tells me you're there for a good time, not a long time. And if
hmm
I'm Colorado and I'm backing up the Brinch truck and I'm handing over all this autonomy to a dude that's not going to stay long term, just how we see Jackson State is left to kind of deal with the scraps. And yes, they hired his man at his recommendation, and that's cool. But they're not going to be under any limelight anymore. Like that shine is gone off of that university. What's Colorado going to look like hypothetically if he shakes the spot after 2-3 years and all that autonomy and the way that he fixed it, the Deion blueprint goes with him to the next spot? Like, what's he going to leave in the wake of now a Power Five? It's kind of easy to not care about a FBS school or a HBCU school in terms of how they have to recover. But once he does it at a Power Five, those boosters are different. That fan base is different. You're dealing with more people than you would from one particular HBCU. What do you think hypothetically if he shakes the spot? How are they going to handle that in the wake of him potentially leaving?
I'll take it a step further. Deion never had to deal with negative press at Jackson State.
Let's go.
He had, I forget the guy's name, but there's a guy, a reporter for Jackson State, I think it was a SWAC reporter, that they had a good rapport. They could joke around, and Deion could kind of like mess around and speak the way he wanted to.
Right.
What's gonna happen when Deion gets smacked by another Pac-12, like by Oregon State, by Colorado State, even in a rivalry game like that?
Yeah.
What's gonna happen when the media is like, putting his feet to the fire? How's he gonna react? Because if he reacts negatively, that's front page.
Yep.
That's on SportsCenter.
Yep. True indeed. No, that's a good point. That's definitely a good point. That's definitely something to watch for. My guest is Stan Talouis, aka Funny Man Stan, on the Elon app and the Zuckerberg app, Twitter and IG if you're unhip. Man, I don't want you to reveal your big board too early, but I'll just have one question. Mm-hmm. Who do you think who should be the first QB off the board in this upcoming NFL draft?
CJ Stroud, without a doubt.
Okay.
I don't dislike Bryce Young. I think the difference between CJ and Bryce is it's very minimal. But I look at Bryce Young. He's slight. He's got a great arm. But a lot of people mistake. Look, we know how it is. You see a black quarterback, you see a brown quarterback. You're like, oh, that guy can move. Bryce Young doesn't move. Not that he doesn't move well. He can. He just chooses not to. And he's had the benefit of an amazing offensive line for 3 years that he hasn't had to move. We've seen, the times that he has gotten hit, like this year, the times he has gotten hit, he's taken some injuries. He's gotten roughed up a little bit. CJ is a little bit bigger. He can take the hits. I think they made a big mistake letting not letting, like, I don't know. The Ohio State loss to Georgia. I mean, It is what it is. You miss a field goal, but I think C.J. Stroud. You look at that Ohio State team all year, missing Jackson Smith and Jigba. Missing games. They by the end of the year, they were down their number one receiver, their number one tight end, their number one running back, and CJ was still putting up numbers with Marvin Harrison Jr.
And then he went out, right? Then he got hurt.
Yeah, if he doesn't get hurt, Georgia loses that game. Ohio State wins that game. If, by the way, a weird no call on that hit in the back of the end zone.
Very true. Very true. Yeah.
It's very and
we gotta see if somebody got a FanDuel account that was on the field. We gotta see if somebody got a DraftKings account or something.
Yeah, and I don't look. Lately I've been finding myself having a soft spot for Ohio State because my girlfriend did go there.
Okay.
And there's not a day that goes by that I don't remind her that they owe us a championship from 2001.
Oh, that's true.
And she does talk her shit. She's when I met my girl on Hinge, and my first message to her, I saw she went to Ohio State, and I was like, hey, just letting you know, you guys owe us a chip. And she was like, well, maybe if you guys were better, you would have won. But
oof, okay, okay, I like it.
She comes back with
that
it.
energy.
And she watches.
Okay.
So she knows what she's talking about. That being said, Ohio State going into that game without their number one receiver, without losing Cade Stover at halftime,
Yeah.
down at, like the good defensive players, losing Marvin Harrison at like Marvin Harrison Jr. at halftime or whenever it was, for them to only have lost by whatever they lost by to a very good Georgia team.
Yeah.
I think C.J. Stroud is my number one overall pick. No, he's my, you know,
Top QB
or-
off the board.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And
Okay.
this isn't a strong QB class. I mean, I think it's C.J. It's
Well, that'll
Bryce.
definitely be a talking point because the Bears found a way to luck themselves into the number one overall pick. The
Right.
Texans now are at 2. If the Bears make that pick and play, you would assume it's a CJ or a Bryce Young pick. But I mean, who knows? With the Bears and Justin Fields, I mean, I don't know if they're completely sold on him. They could. I mean, it would be typical Bear for them to trick that off. But I mean, yeah, this QB class, there's a lot of names at QB, but
Sure.
I don't really know how many of these dudes are actually good at that level anyway.
A lot of potential, I will say. I think, look, as much as I as many teams players I can scout, I'm not good at scouting quarterbacks. I can tell you right now,
Okay.
I've been wrong on so many quarterbacks. It's insane. But I think CJ's good. I think Bryce is good. I think Bryce, would benefit from sitting a year, just bulking
Interesting.
up, putting
Okay.
on some weight. I wouldn't rush him. I think CJ is ready now. Then you got the Will Levises of the world, who
Right.
at times looks great, but I question his decision making. Then you have
Hmm.
Anthony Richardson, who I just think is a running back with an arm. Um,
Wow. Okay. See, because he
I
he was the one. He's the one who I think kind of is like that high risk, high reward. Like,
very high
yeah.
risk.
Because like
Uh,
it's I don't want to compare him to Lamar, but obviously running back with an arm, Lamar got a lot of that, but he was clearly better. Let's be
Lam- Lam-
clear.
Lamar coming
Light
in
years better. Pro
already, yeah,
style
was already a
offense. Yeah.
polished. He could stay in the pocket. He could manipulate
Right.
the pocket. Um, I think Anthony Richardson has the physical tools for sure. I think he's one of the more interesting prospects we're going to see. Um, I question his decision making. I think
Mhm.
he tends to trust his arm more than he should at times, throwing into triple coverage, thinking he can do everything. That being said, if he lands in a situation where he can develop, where he doesn't have to come in right away and be the savior, I think that there's an opportunity there. He, to me, not to be reductive, but he reminds me of like Malik Willis in that way. Malik Willis, strong
Mm.
arm, very mobile, but again, go back to his Auburn tape, and a lot taking risks, and
Right.
coming getting out of the pocket, and then he went to Liberty, and Hugh Freeze was able to kind of put have these gadgety offenses around him. Um, I think Anthony Richardson has a higher ceiling than
Right.
Malik Willis. I think I wouldn't take him in the first round though. I don't like
Interesting.
you.
Okay.
You know how it is. Look, we're gonna see 4 or 5 quarterbacks go in the first round. I don't think more
But
than
yeah.
it shouldn't be more than three, honestly.
Mm. That's fair. That's fair. Here's something that I've been trying to preach here on the pod, and I've been doing a lot of streams on YouTube after these NFL games, so I've been way more locked in on just watching games way more intensely. And it seems like there's only two types of quarterbacks, or teams are treating the QB position in two types of ways. Either you're the franchise and it's all on you, kind of like Lamar,
Hmm.
where, all right, we're not going to give you a lot of help because you're that nice, figure it out.
Hmm.
Or we're going to make you a quasi game manager, but we're going to give you everything to succeed, like Jalen Hurts this year with them
Hmm.
bringing in A.J. Brown. And low key, Justin Herbert surrounded by weapons and he's able to
Hmm.
flourish. Or even Tua before he kept getting concussed. Bringing Tyreek Hill, gave him Waddle last year. Gesicki when they decided to use him, going to give you all these weapons. Which one of these QBs is more fit to be in that Lamar, it's all on you, and which one is better suited to be, all right, we got to surround this dude with everything?
I think I think Bryce is gonna benefit from being in an offense where there's a good offensive line, there's a good running game, not necessarily a game manager, but he's gonna need protection because that's what he's
Okay.
had at Alabama. I
True.
think CJ can do more with less.
Got you.
We've seen him like last year, his sophomore year, he had Wilson and the other. Why am I blanking on the name? The other wide receiver, Olave. Wilson,
Oh
Olave. Your
yes.
number
Mm-hmm.
three receiver
Mm-hmm.
was Jackson Smith Jigba, and you still had Marvin Harrison Jr. as a fresh. Like he had so much around him, and then to lose two receivers, technically four receivers by the time the end of his junior year
Exactly.
came
Yeah.
due to injury. Um, and he was still able to take Ohio State as far as they did within a missed 50 plus yard field goal from going to the national championship game. Um, I think Bryce is more suited to be the guy who's going to need the weapons around him, and CJ is more equipped to be able to do more with less, which is why I think if I'm the Bears, I would trade out,
Okay.
acquire as many picks as you can, surround Justin Fields with as much talent because, ironically, it's the same sort of deal. I think Justin Fields, going back to his Ohio State days, going back to watching him at Georgia, was able to do more with less. But you got to give him talent.
Got to
You got
give
to
him
put players
something.
around him.
Yeah.
He,
Yeah.
there's only so much the man can do.
Right.
So I think the
Right.
Bears would benefit. And look, the Texans, unfortunately, for I think they're gonna go with Bryce Young. I think, um,
He's got no
I
help. He's got a running
yeah,
game at least.
yeah, and it's unfortunate that they fired Lovie Smith because he had them playing.
Like
He had
hard.
he had them playing hard, and it's gonna be a mistake to fire him. I don't know, what they're gonna do going forward. I don't know who they're gonna bring in. Hopefully, it's not another college coach because I think we're done with that experiment.
Hopefully.
But
Yeah.
um, I think it'll come down to I think the Texans will take Bryce. I think people are going to hype up Bryce to be the guy, but I think CJ is the more capable. I think he'll be able to stay healthier as well.
Got you. So look, I'm gonna table that right there because I got so many more draft questions because you are the
Yeah,
guy that I look for online. So hopefully you can spin the block around draft time as we get closer here, and we can
absolutely.
really
Yeah,
do a deep dive for sure. But while I have you here, it's a few avenues we can go. Do you want to go down Metland with Carlos Correa? Do you want to get into Super Wild Card Weekend that really wasn't that super? Maybe the end of Tom Brady, or at least Tom
yeah.
Brady in Tampa. I'll let you set the table. Where do you
Well,
want to go?
we're talking football. Let's keep going
Let's keep it
that way.
football. Cool. Okay.
Uh,
So go ahead.
Super Wild Card Weekend again, like you said, not that super for for the Chargers apparently.
Yeah.
Um, and it's interesting, like
How is
man,
Brandon Staley still to this day? We're recording this Wednesday, 6:28 p.m. He's still not fired.
yeah, he still got a job.
He's fired the
Uh,
QB coach and the OC. He's still employed. Make it make sense.
I mean, it's I, I hate this. I mean, I don't hate to say it this way, but being white, man, is
Hey,
such a
yeah,
privilege. Oh my
yeah,
god.
yeah.
Here you have. We're just talking about Lovie Smith. Now look, I'm not gonna bail out Lovie Smith. Lovie Smith has had a terrible last few years. Whether you go back to Illinois and
Yeah, he was
you know
trash in Illinois.
it's been
Yeah, he was
rough.
bad. Yeah,
But he had the Texans playing hard, and they fired him. Took the Chiefs to OT, and they fired him.
right.
Meanwhile, Brandon Staley, who's got the one of the I would say the best young quarterback in the league,
Okay,
save for Jalen Hurts,
okay.
Austin Eckler, who is a top five running back, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, like a quality defense, Joey Bosa or Nick.
Khalil Mack.
I can hear Khalil Mack, like the corner JC Jackson they bring in, like he's
Derwin
got all
James.
this. Derwin
Yeah,
James,
yeah.
uh,
Ballers everywhere. Ballers at
former
every level.
former Hurricane,
There
like
you
you
go.
got,
Like, yeah.
and I'm not. This is not to
Trick it
take away
off.
anything from the Jaguars because all like listen all. I give the Jaguars so much credit because Urban Meyer was clearly holding them back, and Doug Peterson is found a way to unlock
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
But how do you not fire this guy? What
I
is
don't
it?
get it. I
You
don't.
had
I
you
wish I
had
knew.
like Anthony Lynn had so much less. You get rid of him.
Yes.
Brandon Staley's got all this around him, and
Yes.
he can't hold on
Steve
to a
Wilkes in
20.
Arizona and even in Carolina. He's got screwed twice. Like,
What are we doing?
yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, at this point, if they haven't fired him yet, I don't think they're going to fire him.
No,
We'll see.
I
We'll see who
agree.
he
Yeah.
brings in as his OC. We'll see I mean, it's just we'll see who the new QB coach is going to be. But like,
But why
um,
you fight the QB coach? The problem's not Herbert. It's
the
not
pro,
Jay
not,
Herbo.
not even a little bit.
So
Not
it's
even a little.
like what the QB coach is caught astray. Like, all right, we gotta clean both of y'all out. Like what?
Right. Right.
I'm not play calling. Like I didn't
Yeah.
do that.
Exactly. If I'm the QB
I
coach, I'm
didn't
like,
say start Mike Williams in a meaningless game when he's the
right.
Anthony Davis of the NFL. I
Right.
didn't do that. So like,
If I'm the QB coach, if I'm Joe Lombardi, I'm like, what did I do? I did my job.
right. My last name is literally Lombardi. It can't be my fault. What are we
I did
doing?
nothing. You know. I mean, so I
Bruh.
mean, the Chargers have to figure it out. They got to figure out what they're doing there. As far as the Jaguars, obviously, look, they're gonna run into a buzzsaw. It's the Chiefs. I don't know what the line is, but I'm sure the Chiefs will cover.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, is
Well, I'll throw this one caveat.
okay.
You know me, I like to stir the pot.
Yeah,
If there ever was a team that was built to score with them, that's not Buffalo,
right.
because Cincinnati, no, that's not just Buffalo. The Jaguars could run the ball.
Yep.
I don't know if they have a true number one, but they have three dudes who could all be number one on a given day.
Yeah.
And, as you know, as a New Yorker, as a Giant guy, they have somehow found something in Evan Ingram. He has finally discovered what Giants fans were waiting for damn near 5 years, if not
I think
more.
it's Stickum, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. So it's like if any team could put up points with them, because we know the Chiefs going to put up 20 plus, 24, 28 plus easy. The team that can beat them is going to be the team that can put up points with them.
Right.
I
And
low-key
Chiefs-
think Jacksonville could do that.
the Chiefs' defense is
Not the greatest.
It's
Chris Jones and a bunch of dudes.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny because you look at the past couple of years with these Chiefs teams, the defense hasn't been. I'm not gonna say it's been great, but they've been serviceable. Now they've
Right.
regressed to a point where you're letting the Texans take you to OT. So
Facts.
I think
And they
you're
played
right.
the Jaguars early this year, and the Jaguars were right there. I mean, the
Yeah.
Chiefs kind of pulled away late, and that might be the MO for this game. But there was times where the Jaguars were right there.
Yeah, if I'm the Jaguars, who have a not bad defense,
No, they
Travis
got
Kelce's-
Josh Allen, the real Josh Allen.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Mahomes is hard to take down. He's elusive.
He's a
He makes
magician, man.
no look passes.
Yeah.
He's the man. But I mean, I think Kelsey's got to be the guy that you eliminate. You eliminate Kelsey. You force other guys to step up. That's how you win. And obviously scoring. I think Christian Kirk is gonna have a big game. I think
He
Etienne is
should.
gonna have a big game. I think it should be entertaining. I still think the Chiefs, just with the experience, I think Andy Reid, Andy Reid, Doug Peterson, they've
It's
comes from
close.
So
Yeah.
we'll see. I think I give the Chiefs the edge, but only because they've been there. Who knows? Maybe Trevor Lawrence, maybe the lights might be too big. I don't think they will be. He seems like
Right. I mean,
He's
4
just kind of
picks in
robot.
his first game. If he could bounce back from that, like,
right.
you
Yeah,
know, yeah.
that's that. If he had a great, if he had a Brock Purdy type game, I'd have
Right.
been like, well, the other shoe could drop, but
Exactly.
to struggle and come back beating a team that you probably shouldn't have beat.
Right.
I think they might be able to pull this one out.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I think this weekend should be
These are the real
fun-
games this
yeah.
weekend. Yeah.
Uh, Giants, Eagles. I mean, obviously, I'm a Giants fan. I'll be honest with you. I think any Giants fan that thinks that they predicted this is a bull-faced liar. Um, I came into the season thinking, "Hey, man, I just want to be competitive. Give me 6 wins in the top 10 pick." And
Right.
now we're a win away from going to the NFC Championship
Championship
game.
game. Yeah.
So, I mean, look, we're playing with house money. I'll take it.
Hmm.
Um, the last time we played the Eagles, we played them tough with our backups. I'm not saying that's any indication of um, what this game will be. I think Kayvon
Right.
Thibodeau's playing well. Dexter Lawrence is playing like a madman. Um, I think Xavier McKinney and Adoree Jackson came back at the right time. I can see Adoree Jackson. He's not going to eliminate AJ Brown, but it's not going to be easy for the Giants. I
You could be
100%.
physical with them. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the key, though. I think the interior defensive line, Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau on the outside is going to have to keep Jalen Hurts in the pocket, force him to throw. Because if he can run on you, that's where he takes
Dangerous.
off. So that's
Yeah.
that. Um, I'll just because I'm a fan, I'll say I'll take the Giants. But look, win or lose, I'm happy. I'm content because
House money.
yeah, I had no,
Yeah.
I didn't think we were going to do this.
Even with the, but I mean, but you guys had the easiest schedule. I mean, well, the
Yeah,
whole division did. So even with
yeah.
that, you didn't think we might be able to at least get a winning record.
Well, I looked at the schedule and I said, I looked at the winnable games and I said, those are 50-50. And then division games are
Hmm.
always 50-50. So in my head, I came in thinking, 7-10, 8-9,
Got you.
um, around that range. So I was like, all right, I was just expecting to be competitive.
Right.
And then, as the season went on and seeing Daniel Jones completely eliminate his turnovers and, they're using him, in the RPO game. And, you know, I was like, oh, they've figured out Daniel Jones. And like, look,
Hang on,
Vic
hang on. We have to call him by his new name,
White Vic,
Vanilla Vick. Vanilla Vick.
yeah,
Saquon out of nowhere. I don't know where he got. He called him Vanilla Vick. So he's been baptized now. He's no more Danny Dimes.
yeah.
He's not even Daniel Jones. Vanilla Vick.
And we talk about coaching. We talk about Staley. We talk about all these coaches that are like, can we got to give credit where credit is due to Brian Dable. I mean,
Yeah.
Brian Dable, Mike Kafka, who might leave. I hope he stays as the OC. But like what these guys are able to do with, look, I will argue till my face is blue what Jerry Reese did to this team, and
Ooh.
people don't
Okay.
people don't like Dave Gettleman,
Right.
and I get it. But given what Dave Gettleman came into, what Jerry Reese left him,
Mm.
I've never seen a GM in football ride the coattails of of two Super Bowls that he didn't earn more than Jerry Reese.
Ooh. Let's go.
Like you, I've had arguments with numbers backing up. You look at his draft classes. Jerry Clint sent him in the second round. Ramses Barden, like
Yikes.
guys that I'm not talking about guys that didn't get to second contracts with the Giants. I'm talking about guys that didn't get to second contracts in the NFL.
I forgot Ramses. Wow.
The guy. Here's a fun stat. Here's a fun stat. Ramses Barden and I have the same amount of NFL touchdowns. That's like, these are the guys we were drafting. So
Yeah.
Dave Edmond, I get the vitriol. I get why people weren't satisfied with what he did, and he was kind of brash, and trading Odell and all this other. I get it, but given the situation that he was in, the Maras forced him to take Saquon, and I'm not saying I don't appreciate Saquon, but that year I was all about Quentin Nelson. You know,
Mm.
you could have traded down and still gotten Quentin Nelson and acquired more picks. And signing Nate Solder, yeah, bad signing, but who else was available? You needed to upgrade your offensive line. Like he worked with what he had. Daniel Jones, I didn't agree with the pick at the time. I wanted
Right.
Josh Allen, but
Okay.
the other alternative would have been, taking someone else at 6 and then hoping, you know, you can get Haskins or Jones at 18. So
Right.
it is what it is. And I gotta give Gettleman credit where it's due. All the guys that are flourishing, Dexter Lawrence, Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, all these guys are guys that he brought in, and they're all flourishing. So uh, the cap situation isn't great, but it is what it
Yeah.
is.
So now, are we going? So clearly, you're giving Gettleman credit in terms of talent evaluation and drafting.
Yeah, yeah,
Do we also have to kill him for Joe Judge?
100%.
Or how much impact or how much say did he have in bringing in Joe Judge?
I think that's the other thing too. I think this is. I mean, Daboll and Shane are the. This is the first time we've gone outside the organization in decades.
Right.
Um, so I give. I have to fault Gettleman for not pushing harder to hire. I don't know who he wanted. Maybe he wanted Judge all along, but at some point you have to push back against the Maras and the Tishes and say, look, you know, nepotism, if that's what you want to call it or whatever it is, we can't play favorites. We got to go out and get the best guys.
Right.
And unfortunately, Gettleman wasn't given the opportunity to do so. Um, and I'm saying this as a guy I was very much a Joe Judge guy. He came in and said all the right things, and it didn't work out. So I have to kill Gettleman for the Judge hire. There's no one else who you can't fire the owners.
Yeah. I mean, if ever there was a team that you could, it would be the Maras and the Tishes for
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
Um, so we have, so you have the Giants, obviously a biased pick. So
sure.
we will let you slide with that. It's all good. Now we go to the other game in the NFC. Brock Purdy.
Listen,
What the hell?
Mr. Irrelevant.
Iowa State? What? Mr.
I had
Irrelevant? What?
I had to go back and watch Iowa State film
Mm-hmm.
to see what we all missed. Uh,
Did you find anything?
I mean, he didn't look that spectacular to me.
Right.
I was like, yeah, that seems like the guy you would take with the last pick in the 7th round. Okay,
Right.
nothing eye popping. Fine, made good decisions, made bad decisions. Decent arm. Which is interesting because as soon as what if he takes the 49ers to the Super Bowl? What if they
That's
beat the Cowboys?
that to me is the perfect hot take scenario. Purdy goes on this magic carpet ride to a chip. Now you got Jimmy G. Now you got Trey Lance, who you leveraged all that draft capital to go get.
What
And
do you do?
as much as we're giving Shanahan this credit for being a genius play caller and all of that, he was also the guy that pushed for them to give up everything for Trey Lance, and it looked like
Yeah,
that didn't work. So clearly, he's not the genius of everything. But yeah, what do you do? I say you have to roll with the hot hand
yeah, yeah.
because you
Purdy's
have
the
to
guy.
treat this like Russell Wilson with the Seahawks. They got him on
Yeah,
the cheap. You lucked into it. They went out there and signed. Who was it? Matt Flynn or Matt Shaw?
yeah.
Who was it? They gave the money
Matt
to.
Flynn. Yeah,
Yeah, they gave the money to Matt Flynn. They thought he was going to be the guy. He tricked it off. They throw Russell in there, 3rd round pick. Boom, away we go. So you
right.
just ride that. You just ride the wave. So if I'm
You have
if I'm the 49ers, yeah, you just treat it like Russell Wilson. All right, he's our Russell Wilson. That'll allow us to keep the defense together.
Yep.
Hopefully allows him to keep D'Amico Ryan, although I think he's deserving of a job, a head coaching job. But
Yeah, I think he'll get a head coaching job.
yeah, so but at least the players, if you're able to save on I think he's getting like a little over almost 900,000 a
Hmm.
year. If that's your franchise QB, oh, you could go pay the bread.
Yeah,
McCaffrey, we could re you up. Debo, give you your money. IU, get your money. Kittle, defense. Bosa, here's your bread. All those
yeah,
got Kurt Warner, here's your bread. Like everyone,
yeah,
Greenlaw, here's your bread. Like everyone eats.
yeah.
So I think if I'm John Lynch, I low key kind of want this Purdy thing to be the
Right.
thing because that makes my job easier. Just
Not
re-sign the
only that,
defense and we good.
not only that, you can leverage Trey Lance into a team
I
that
could go get
needs
my
more.
picks back.
Yeah,
I could
you
go get the
can.
same picks I traded away for Trey Lance. I could get them back now.
Yeah, You call up Joe Douglas. You're like, hey, look, Zach Wilson didn't work out. Trey,
Facts.
you keep
I
him
got
healthy.
something for you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got a dual threat, big arm.
right.
Yeah.
You call up Tampa. You're like, hey, Tampa, like I've got a guy for you. Even Arizona. I mean, I know
Why
you
not?
look.
There's
I mean,
there's only a handful of teams that should not be interested
right,
if Trey Lance is available. It's only a
right,
handful.
right. That being said, I think they beat the Cowboys, man. I really do. I think they'll beat the
They
Cowboys.
should.
I mean, the I mean, granted, they played well against Tampa. Tampa, Tom Brady is
It's a
gonna.
wrap.
I think he's gonna come back.
But come back to Tampa or
No,
go somewhere
no.
else.
He'll go somewhere else. I don't know where. Maybe Oakland. I mean, I guess the Raiders
The
or whatever.
Raiders is one, and let's paint this scenario. Let's say Purdy shits the bed.
That'll be
He's from the
interesting.
Bay. He's from
That'll
Cali.
that'll be interesting because now, well, if you're San Fran and Purdy plays badly,
Mm-hmm.
loses, whatever, it's embarrassing. You can still trade Trey Lance
Yep.
under the guise that okay, Purdy, this is one hiccup.
Purdy's going to be our young guy.
Yeah, you call
That's
up
it.
Brady, you're like, hey, come, running back with this amazing offense, this genius play caller,
Which
this
works for
insane,
him.
yeah,
He can't
this
carry it by himself no more.
right. You've got this defense. We've got the play caller. We've got the pieces, the running game. Everything is here for you. Sunshine, and then
Yep.
here's this kid who could learn from you
Train him
and
up.
carry on your legacy.
There you go. There you
The
go.
late round draft pick that shocked the world.
We here.
It wouldn't be crazy.
That's what I'm
It
saying.
wouldn't be
Like
crazy.
Brady obviously is going to go to a team that has everything like Tampa did when he first went there 3 years ago. He first went there 3 years ago. He had Mike Evans. He had Godwin. He convinced Gronk to come out of retirement. Tailor made. He had Arians as the play caller. It was a tailor made. This could be the same type of thing. You could
Absolutely.
argue he's got better weapons if he decides to go to San Fran. He's got a better running back.
Yep.
You could argue whether Kittle right now is better than Gronk at the end. He's got better. You could argue receivers like definitely a better defense
Yeah,
if he
absolutely.
goes to San Francisco. Either the Raiders thing is enticing. I don't know if they have enough. Like they definitely have. You have your number one receiver, Devontae Adams. You have Josh
You gotta get
Jacobs
tight
if they
end.
bring him back. You
You
have
got Darren
Darren Waller if he's healthy. I don't know about everything else though. I don't know about the defense. I don't know about the offensive line. I don't know about, to be quite honest, I don't know about the coach, even though that's his man's.
Look, and that's the thing. They can't. The Raiders can't get rid of Josh McDaniels. So even if Brady decides he wants to go to the Raiders and says, "Hey, look, I'll come," but McDaniels got to go, they can't even afford to get rid of him.
Right. Yeah.
There. I think Brady's going to be paying heavy attention to the 49ers game because, I mean, that could be his future home. I think you have to. I think
Ooh.
that's a fair assessment to make.
I make you John Lynch. Hang on. I make you John Lynch. Purdy shits the bed. Tom Brady's out there. You know you could go get him. Derek Carr also out there. Who do you bring in? You can have either or.
I'm bringing in
Brady or
Brady.
Derek Carr.
I'm bringing in Brady.
Mm.
That situation, I'm bringing in Brady. I'll tell you why. Even if Brady, I think the ceiling would be higher for Carr, but
Right.
you'd have to pay him. You'd have to give him a longer term deal. You'd have to give him 2 years, maybe 3. I think Brady, he's gonna come in for just a year. He's gonna come in. My pitch to Brady would be come in for a year. Don't beat us over the head with a contract. We'll take care of you. Come home. This insanely prolific offense, this genius play caller, this great defense, sunshine, win a chip, retire, go off in the sunset. As for Derek Carr, there's too many variables there. I think he was hamstrung. I think he was hamstrung by Josh McDaniels. There's only so much you can do. I don't think
You don't.
Brady's.
We're giving him Debo C-Mac, Kittle, Ayuk, and Shanahan. Derek Carr should be a top 5 QB with all of that.
He should have been a top 5 QB with Devontae Adams and Darren Waller and Josh Jacobs.
I agree, and that's why Derek Carr's an enigma because I
Right.
can't figure it out. I've been asking for 3 years, is he top 10? And I never know. I can't never
It's so
get
weird.
a definitive answer because
You watch some games and you're like, man, Derek Carr, that he's got it. And then
Right.
you watch other what happened?
what is he doing? Yeah. He's got a lot of David in him sometimes, and that's not
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, like I don't remember who said it. I was listening to a podcast, but like there's players know he needs to go to a place with a good offensive line because the word is out. You
Yeah.
smack him once, he's
Right.
done. That's
Right.
it. Deer in headlights. He's getting rid of the ball quick. He's got happy feet. Like he needs a good offensive line, and like he needs to play in a warm weather city. I know a lot of people will talk about Derek Carr to the Jets. If I'm the Jets, I stay away. I want no parts of Derek Carr because your offensive line isn't great yet. It has potential, but it isn't great
Right.
yet. In a cold weather city with a bad offensive line, it's I wouldn't do it.
And his arm strength isn't the greatest anyway. It's just
Right.
not like he's got a gun anyway.
Right. Now, if I'm Tampa, I'll kick the tires on Derek Carr.
like that.
If I'm an indoors
If you're
facility
the
team,
Colts,
the Colts could be If I'm the Colts, I'm taking a look.
the Saints, the Saints to me, and hear me out. I know it's the Saints, and I know that Dennis Allen's not great,
Right.
but I'm looking at Olave. I'm looking at the receivers they have.
Mhm.
They still got Kamara, assuming they don't do nothing stupid in the offseason.
Mhm.
Like
The
I
defense is
think
good.
the defense is solid. I think they're just a QB away from being in the playoff mix. Not a chip,
Right.
but just a good QB. And it's still definitive it's still unclear if Derek Carr is good, but he's close enough to be good at times, as we talked about, where you slide him in there, Kamara all of a sudden gets back his form. Those receivers, I think, will only get better because, I mean, they're catching passes from Andy Dalton and fucking
Yeah.
Taysom Hill. Like,
Yeah.
imagine Olave with the average QB.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we saw what he did with mid QBs. Now we're gonna get him above an average, maybe to even above average QB. He's out of here.
I'd be concerned with coaching.
Dennis
That's
Allen's
where
not good.
I'd be worried. Otherwise, you're making great points. Those are all solid points. Coaching is where I would hesitate. That being said, of the options to Derek Carr outside of
Right.
say San Francisco, or like what's the best situation for him coaching wise?
It's true.
Wherever he goes, it's going to be questionable.
Are you hitting up Sean Payton if you're Derek Carr? Like, yo, wherever you
Absolutely.
go, I go.
Absolutely. If I'm Sean Payton, by the way, this whole Denver thing, I don't know what he's thinking.
That's silly. That's silly.
I would say as far if I'm Sean Payton, like Derek Carr aside, which unfortunately for Derek Carr, if I'm Sean Payton, I'm looking at Dallas. Because here's the thing.
You don't
Dallas
think
is in
McCarthy? I think McCarthy winning that game was enough. If he tricked that game off, I think there's a good chance McCarthy could have been out of there. You think there's still a chance McCarthy could be out of there?
Yeah. I don't think anybody I went into the Dallas Tampa game thinking Tampa's gonna win this game because McCarthy or Dak is gonna fuck this up. And
True.
they didn't.
True.
Because they were far superior
I mean, Dak played the game of his life.
Yeah,
Fucking 5 touchdowns. I mean, yeah.
Right. So I think this game is gonna be the game we see. Like, all right, is McCarthy up to it? Can he outcoach Shanahan? Can he out scheme this tremendous if the Dallas Cowboys win this game, McCarthy's safe, which I've been as a Cowboy hater, I've been on to keep McCarthy there.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So if the Dallas Cowboys win this game, I think this has the potential to be the game of the week. you got the rivalry, you've got the history, the pageantry,
Yeah.
two great storied franchises going against each other. So I think this has potential to be a really good game. Um, I think the 49ers ultimately win. But I think the Cowboys play well enough for McCarthy to keep his job. I think Sean Payton, if Dallas isn't an opportunity to for him,
Hmm.
honestly, where else? Like if I'm if I'm Sean Payton, I'm calling up um, the Chargers GM, and I'm like, look, look, the resume speaks for itself. I could come in
Right.
right now and like you,
Right. I,
yeah,
I could clean this up real quick.
yeah, yeah.
I could
Like
clean
I'm
this
not,
up. Yeah.
I'm not giving up 27 straight points to nobody.
Exactly. I got a dynamic running back already. I know
Yep,
how to pass the running backs. Y'all know
yeah,
my steez.
right.
Y'all know how I do with QBs who are accurate.
Yep.
Y'all know how I could make seventh round receivers become damn near Hall of Famers.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
now you're giving me Mike Williams and Keenan Allen and
yeah.
Joshua Palmer. Oh yeah, it's lit. It's
If
lit.
I'm Sean Payton, I'm just sliding over a highlight tape and showing them Drew Brees. I'm like, he was a
I
second
did
round pick
that.
out of Purdue. I
Yeah.
did,
Noodle arm. I did
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So give me the 6'4" crazy strong arm quarterback. See
Exactly.
what I.
Facts.
Um, what's the last? Is it Bengals?
Cincy Buffalo. Yep. Yep. The game that was supposed to take place when DeMar Hamlin,
Yeah,
had that
yeah.
unfortunate incident. So now they get to run it back for real.
I this is a tough call. This is a tough
Dude,
call.
I think this is the game of the weekend.
Yeah, I think
Because
you're right. I think you're
the
right.
teams are too close. I can't call it to keep it a
And
buck with you.
Josh Allen wasn't stellar.
His elbow's still jacked up.
Yeah,
He's playing hurt. He's
yeah,
and I'm not the biggest Josh Allen guy. People on this pod know I am not the biggest Josh Allen guy.
yeah.
But like it's clear he's not 100%.
And he's
But
playing
he's still
hero
throwing
ball
a lot
too.
of picks and he's reckless with the ball.
Hmm.
A lot of fumbles.
A lot of hero ball.
Dude, and it's like it's almost the gift and the curse of being that big and being that
Yeah,
sometimes unstoppable that, oh, I could just do this whenever I want.
yeah.
And then he flicks the ball and then he gets picked off in the back of the end
Right.
zone. He's fumbling all over the place. And it's like, nah, dude, you have to pick and choose those spots. He still hasn't
Yeah.
learned that yet. If he
I
ever
think
does learn it.
I think I think it's this is a toss up. Honestly, I can't really call it. I think the Bengals defense is much improved, but their offensive line, they lost a guy. I mean, so Joe Burrow is gonna have to, you know, he's gonna have to run around a little bit. But there's also Jamar Chase. There's
Jamar
also Joe
Chase,
Mixon. I think,
P. Ryan,
yeah, I
Tyler Boyd.
it's a toss up,
Bengals
but
are
I'm
deep,
gonna I'm
man.
gonna I'm gonna give it to the Bengals. I think, where are they
I,
playing this game?
it is in Buffalo. Buffalo's the 2 seed. So Bengals on the road. You know that stadium's gonna be rocking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Stephon Diggs. He's him. Gabe
yeah.
Davis, McKenzie,
Yeah.
James Cook, Singletary. Like the
Also,
Bills should be unstoppable, but for some reason,
yeah.
eh. I don't know if that's because Dayball's in New York. I don't know, or in New York City. I don't know.
Kenny Dorsey might be looking for a job.
That's facts too. It's
I
facts
mean,
too. If Josh Elbow is still banged up, they haven't shown the propensity to establish the run.
hmm
Josh Allen at times forgets he has Stephon Diggs.
hmm
That defense has lost to Von Miller, so they don't
yep.
have that closer to come in and get that pressure late.
hmm
There's some holes here, but the Bengals at times they also forget they have Joe Mixon. They
Right.
also forget they have P. Ryan, and it's
See,
just the Burrow to Jamar Chase show, and I'm not mad at that. Go get him his 10 plus targets because he's a true number one.
mhm.
But sometimes it's like, you need to get a little bit of the balance there. You can't be dropping back 40 times in the playoff game and expect to win.
Here's the one little caveat that I want to throw in there.
Mm,
The emotion of the game. Who's going to be able to handle the emotion of the game?
facts, facts.
Is Buffalo ready to play against the Bengals again? Is
Right.
T. Higgins up for it to go against
Good
the
point.
Bills again?
Good point.
Who's? I mean,
And he's kind of really stepped up this year. He's been the
absolutely.
number two.
Yeah,
He wasn't
absolutely.
supposed to be the number two, but he's been the number two.
Again, like could it come down to coaching? Zach Taylor, is he? Sean McDermott, same boat. Like they're both kind of
Right.
young in the game. They're first few years. Um, it's man, it's really a toss up. I guess I give it to the home team just because
Give it to the
you gotta
Bills. Okay.
yeah, I give it to the Bills just because they're at home. But
Nah,
that's tough. This is the super weekend that people are talking
for
about.
sure. Yes,
Yeah,
super divisional round
yeah.
weekend.
What's
That's the
interesting too
marketing
is like
campaign.
the CFP. It turned out that the Ohio State
The
Georgia
semi
game
was
was the real title game. Yeah.
right.
Hopefully that's not the case.
Facts. Well, look, I know you have to run. You have a show you have to do, and that's why I wanted to make sure.
I got a few more minutes. Yeah.
You got a few more minutes? All right, cool.
Yeah.
So I'll make it quick. So obviously we're trying to run down the NFL playoffs. NFC. If we say Philly takes care of the Giants, we say the 49ers take care of the Cowboys. Philly, San Fran. That's it's in Philly. Assuming Jalen Hurts should be as close to 100% as possible, barring a setback against your Giants.
Right.
How does that shake out for you?
Assuming health, I think I kind of have to go. I have to give the edge to Philly just because, you know, with as close to 100% Jalen Hurts, that defense is still pretty good. The defense is very, very good. The offensive line is very good. I think what AJ Brown and Devontae Smith bring to the table, what Dallas Goedert bring to the table, as good as San Fran's defense is, that's a lot of horses. That's a lot of people
Right.
to pay attention to. And I think the Philly defense should be able to make life difficult for Brock Purdy. Now, maybe Brock Purdy is his second coming of who knows what, but
Yeah.
if I had to listen, they didn't win 13 games for nothing. Granted, easy schedule, yeah, but Jalen Hurts up until he got hurt was an MVP candidate.
Facts.
And if as much as it pains me to say that, I hate the city of Philadelphia. The only thing good about Philly is its comedy and its cheesesteaks.
There you
Uh,
go.
I can't take anything away from the Eagles. So if it comes down to Philly San Fran, I got to go with Philly.
Well, I love that answer only because your boy put in a little FanDuel early in August
Yeah,
for them to make the Super Bowl. So I'll be happy if that happens. But now let's take it to the AFC. Now you said you would give it to Buffalo, home team against Cincy,
Mhm.
and then Kansas City. So now Buffalo, Kansas City, neutral site game. I
Right,
think
in
they
Atlanta,
said it would
right?
be in Atlanta. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that was the last thing I heard as well. So neutral site game, so a dome, no elements. So if obviously both of them are used to playing in cold weather,
Yeah.
no elements. Mahomes in the dome, Josh Allen in the dome, fast track. What do you see there? Potential Chiefs Bills AFC Championship game.
I think in that scenario, that means Josh Allen played well enough to beat the Bengals. That means he's healthy enough. That means whatever is supposed to work worked.
Mm-hmm.
That means if everything's clicking, I have them beating the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. I think the Chiefs defense is going to hurt them. It's just they've gotten lucky way too
Yeah.
many times. I just think back to that Texans game and I'm like, how did you let this team take you to
Right.
OT?
Right.
And if I'm every other offensive coordinator in the AFC right now, I'm firing up that Texans game and I'm like, what did they do with inferior pieces that we can do with superior pieces? That's how I'm game planning it.
Yeah, Pierce went crazy, I believe, in that game. Pierce
Yeah.
went crazy. Yeah. So I mean that's the bugaboo with Buffalo. And, as you said earlier, sometimes football is simple. Like, just run the ball. Run the
Right.
ball, stop the run. Like, it doesn't have to be too complicated. Yeah, your schemes could be cute. It could be intricate. It could be complex. But at the end of the day, you got to have some kind of balance between running the rock and throwing the rock. So I think at times they get caught up in, Josh Allen, rocket arm, even with the bum elbow. Just let him keep chucking it. We got Diggs. We got Gabe Davis. We got McKenzie. We can even throw it to Hines out the backfield now. Like, we got Dawson Knox. Just
Yeah.
keep chucking it down the field. Nah, man. Go ahead and give it off to Singletary. Go ahead and let
Yeah.
James Cook get out there and cook it up. Like, that's how
They
you
had
get the
a game
balance.
toward the end of the year. They had a game toward the end of the year where both James Cook and Singletary had like crazy
Yeah.
long runs. Like,
Yeah.
why are we using these weapons?
It's not like it hasn't worked. If they've
Right.
been struggling, like Tampa was the worst rushing team in the whole NFL. So it's like, all right, well, I know why Brady's dropping back 40 sometimes. All right. They
Yeah.
keep trying it. The offensive line isn't good enough. They can't run the rock. Cool. That's not the case at Buffalo. And
Yeah.
sometimes Josh Allen's the best running back sometimes.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Keep running him. He could be White Lamar. Let him
Yeah.
do it. Like, just
Slow
run
the
the
game
damn
down.
ball. Yes.
Because at the
Eat
end of
up
the day,
the
that's what you want to
clock.
do. Yeah. Slow the game down, keep the ball. Like, your best case scenario, you don't want Mahomes with the ball at all. You don't want
No.
Mahomes.
No.
You just
Keep his ass
time
off
of
the field.
possession, keep running the ball. I mean, I'm not saying you don't take your shots. Take your shots, absolutely.
For sure,
You've
you
got
have
the
to.
force to do so.
Yeah.
But you've shown the ability to be able to run the ball. You've got James Cook. You've got, who, by the way, James Cook doesn't get enough credit. Like,
He's played very well.
extremely well. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, and very different from his brother, by the way. Like, this is
Yes.
so.
Yes.
So why, you've got the horses, use them. I think if they can figure it out, I would be firing up that Texans game. That's all I'm watching. I'm like, what do they do that we're gonna do with
Yeah.
better pieces?
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. I hope we get that. I think that'll be such a dynamic matchup. I mean, even if it's Cincinnati, Kansas City, that still has
Yeah.
an intrigue
Yeah.
rematch of last year and all of that. So even that has some intrigue. But I do think the two best teams all year long in the AFC have
Yeah.
been Kansas City and Buffalo.
Absolutely.
So I like that. So you have Buffalo coming out on top. That
Yep.
means you have a Buffalo Philly Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, it's a very easy pick. We're going with the Buffalo Bills.
Really okay.
Only because I cannot
You
fathom.
you can't stand another Philly chip. You can't.
No, I can't do it. I can't do it. Those people, like, they're terrible people. I hate every single. I can't. But from a football standpoint, a Buffalo Philly Super Bowl would actually be pretty interesting. I think you've got a matchup of MVP caliber quarterbacks. You've got your game breaking wide receivers and AJ Brown on one side and Stephon Diggs on the other. I think you've also got the experience with guys that have been in the playoffs before.
Right.
Similar styles of running games. I think I guess I'd give the edge defensively to Philly.
Okay.
From a purely football standpoint, if it comes down to Philly Buffalo, I think Philly has the slight edge. But again, you could have both situations where the quarterbacks are banged up. I mean, it's tough. That could be a toss up too. Like, but
Yeah.
my gut says my gut says Buffalo. Bring a trip back to well, not back, but finally bring a trip to Marv Levy Stadium. Whatever.
Yeah. Upstate New York finally gets
Yeah.
a taste of being relevant to the
Right.
rest of New York. I think if that matchup does play out, I liked Philly's defense earlier in the season, and obviously if they're playing Josh Allen, the key is contain, right? You can't let him just run crazy. So Hassan Reddick's going to be the key there, like, because clearly you have the guys on the inside. You got Cox, you got House of Spears, and Dominican Sue, you got all those guys, Jordan Davis, you got all those guys that clog up the middle. So Josh Allen ain't scrambling up the middle, but if he gets that edge, if no one's there to contain, we know he's trucking DBs and safeties. So someone's got to be there on that edge to be able to keep his ass in the pocket. So I liked Philly's defense early in the year. I think they were beset by some injuries and just I think they got lackadaisical from running out, with such a great record early on.
Yeah,
But I definitely do. I mean, there is a scenario where Buffalo could win. I mean, it's clearly
absolutely,
there's no
absolutely.
dominant team this year, and I think
Right,
there's a lot of really good teams, but there's no dominant, clear cut. This team is head and
right.
shoulders above. Although the 49ers, I just
No,
I
yeah,
don't
absolutely,
think
absolutely. You're
no
absolutely right.
other team has their weapons
Right.
on both sides. So it's like they got the most talented roster that's left. But because it's Brock Purdy,
That's
no
it's
one
just
wants to jump out the window and be like, nah, give me the more talent. Da, da, da. Nah, not when you don't got talent at the most important position.
right. We just don't know. We just don't
Yeah,
know
he's the great
until
unknown.
until he has a bad game. We just don't know.
Yeah, yeah. No, I feel you. So Buffalo Bills, your Super Bowl champions.
Yeah,
Those
I'll
are
give
the
it.
yeah. I like it. I like it. I mean, I wouldn't like it because of my hate for Josh Allen
Sure.
that I've been chastised for, but I respect it. I'll fall back. I still say that man should fall down on his knees and kiss Stephon Diggs' cleats
Oh
because that's
yeah,
the reason why he's elevated to franchise QB status and
yeah.
MVP face of the league status because of Stephon Diggs. But you know,
I mean,
if
why stop there? Brian Dable, Mike. I mean, Ken Dorsey. Like those are the guys. I'm not
let's
saying Josh
go,
Allen
let's
isn't
go.
talented. He's got the tools.
Sure,
Like
sure.
I mean, the Josh Allen that we saw coming into the NFL out of Wyoming and the Josh Allen that's playing in playoffs this week are two different people.
Without
And
a doubt.
credit to go to the coaching, which is why I'm glad Dable is the Giants head coach because the leaps and bounds we've seen from Daniel Jones in one season. I mean, and
Are
we
you
didn't get into
giving
this,
Daniel
but
Jones the bag?
okay, what's the bag though? What's the bag? Are we saying, look,
Kyler Murray money.
no, 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 not yet. No,
So then what kind of money then? Ryan Tannehill money?
I mean, is
He's a young QB. He can't get Kyler money.
Kyler got a lot of money, dude. Kyler,
Too much money.
yeah. I'm not
That's
giving
why
Daniel.
Lamar can't sign right now because Kyler got too much
Yeah,
and Deshaun Watson,
Deshaun. Yeah,
nasty man, got too
yeah.
much. So
I mean, because the other thing is too is like if you give Daniel Jones the bag, there's so many other holes that really like it's patchwork.
right,
Isaiah
I agree.
Hodgins. We're throwing out Isaiah Hodgins and Darius Slayton who dropped a
Yeah,
huge pass and Daniel Bellinger. Like there's a lot of like and we got to resign Saquon and Dexter Lawrence has to get paid at some point. Like there's a lot of holes we got to fix. So I think it's I I I I think he deserves it. I would
right.
give it.
But you
I
wouldn't give it
would
to him.
if you say like 3 years 48 I think is reasonable.
That's cheap. Can't
I
even
mean,
get the man 20 mil. He's not even, he can't even get 15 mil. Well,
I
no,
just I feel like
that's a little over
and
15. It's a little over 15.
I'm not calling it a fluke. I'm not calling it a fluke. But I'd be willing to go 3 years 60. 3 years even I'd even say 65. But
Okay.
I there it's not smart. I don't think it's smart money to give him so much money when there are so many other holes we need patched up.
So does
Especially with
that
the
mean you're not
situation.
sold on him as a franchise QB?
No. I am. I just think
You
it's
just
the
don't want to
timing.
pay
The
him like
timing,
one.
right? The timing is unfortunate. It's just it's bad timing. We just the
Gotcha.
cap situation. The cap situation is dog shit. We're getting out of it, but
Right.
there's a lot of mouths to feed, and there's people we need to bring in. There's Giants fans that are talking about bringing in D Hop, and I'm like, calm down, guys.
How?
Let's pump the brakes.
Yeah.
Let's what we need
Yeah.
is draft capital and guys
Right.
on as many rookie contracts as possible. We need
Facts.
like this. That's what we need. We like I mean, unfortunately, we're gonna have like a bottom 20 draft pick at this point. Like we'll
Right.
probably end up drafting like 22nd, which I'm glad we're playing well, but now Joe Shane has to really do his job and find the late round draft picks and find the talent in the second, third, fourth rounds.
All right, so I will get you out of here on this. So you bring back Daniel Jones.
Hmm.
What does that mean for Saquon? What type of bag are you giving him?
I mean, I've
Because
always
he's
been,
shown that he's back to being himself.
yeah,
So as long as he's himself, he's a top 5 running back. He's a C
but
Mac. He's in that same class. Like,
but he's still a running back. He's at the end of the
true,
day, he's still a
but
running back.
somebody gonna pay him. If not y'all, somebody else gonna pay him.
I I wouldn't go higher than 18 a year. That's and
So
that's
20
and
a
I'm
year for
I'm
Daniel
saying and I'm saying
Jones.
18 because hometown,
Right.
homegrown.
So you'll overpay to keep him.
I would overpay to keep him. 18 a year is like I think I think is where because it's also like you like the game planning has been kind of funny too because now you know Daniel Jones ran the ball 17 times I think it was and
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
one had less than that.
Right. Yeah. No, it hasn't looked as smooth with the Saquon transition. I think when he's been on, he's shown you all the reasons why he was him all them
Hmm.
years ago. But then, especially last week, I mean, Daniel Jones was the reason why that offense was moving the way it was.
Yeah,
Like, he was dynamic in all aspects of the game.
I think on their first offensive drive, Daniel Jones ran the ball like 4 times. It
Right.
was like and it wasn't just RPOs. It was like drop back, nothing's open, take off. And it was
Golf. Yeah. And that's a level they've always talked about his athleticism, and I always just kind of poo-pooed it. And not even because he's white, just because it's like, all right, well, that's kind of a prerequisite for today's QBs. All these
mhm,
QBs are kind of mobile.
mhm.
But I didn't know he was this. I didn't
Yeah,
know he was QB draw. No, bootleg. No,
right.
he can do RPOs like for real, for real. He's not just
Yeah,
running out the fake. Like, he's really taking the pill and trucking. Like,
yeah,
that part I didn't know. So yeah, what value is Saquon if you gotta, like, because it's kind of like the Ravens with Lamar. Yeah,
right,
you got Gus Edwards. Yeah, you got J.K. Dobbins, but that's not the dynamic part. The
right.
dynamic part is this dude has a cannon and he can go 90 yards to the crib with his
Yeah,
legs.
yeah.
That's the dynamic part. If Daniel Jones, now I don't know if he could go 90 yards, but if he can
Not
go, if he
not
could
without
truck
tripping.
it, right. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if he's a guy that could go 50, 60 yards
Yeah,
and can still drop dimes or be Vanilla Vick, I mean, what's the value of Saquon at that point?
right,
Do you even need a Saquon at that price level?
right. That's what I'm saying. I think the price level is only going to come because because of an overpay, because of who he is, what he means to the team, the city, and all that. You want to keep him in New York, you're gonna have to overpay. But like realistically, history of injury,
Hmm.
usage on the offense, and I think the other thing too is I think as we progress, in the playoffs and next season and going forward, we're gonna see. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Kafka's gonna stay if he's gonna take another job, but like Dayball is gonna have a huge hand in what goes for how this goes forward because you know if we're relying on Jones and not Barkley, then yeah, you're right. I think you're absolutely right. I think Barkley's value is going to be diminished. Um, I also feel like Barkley's the kind of person who values loyalty,
For
so
sure.
he'll. I could see him taking less money to stay because of what they're building, because of
Right.
what's already been built. So I mean, we'll see. But again, I think we got to air caution, air on caution because what you don't want is overpaying Jones and Barkley and not being able to address other issues at wide receiver, at tight end, offensive line, linebacker,
Right.
uh, safety. I think there's so many holes that need fixing. So it's tough.
That has been my guest, Stan Talouis, at Funny Man Stan on the Elon app and the Zuckerberg app. He is a stand-up comedian. He is a writer. He is a host. He is a all-around content creator. Follow him on all the social stuff. The link for that will be in the podcast description and the video description. Stan, bro, we've been doing this for a while now.
Yeah.
I've been proud of the success you have had, the moves you've been making.
Same here. Same here, man. I'm a subscriber, always have been. I always listen. I especially listen to you for basketball takes because as a Knicks fan, I'm just like I don't really care. So I appreciate your basketball takes, especially since we both agree on Cristobal.
Point for all. Let's go.
So listen, I've told this story with you a bunch of times, but like I went specifically to the 2005 draft to boo him. I will never forgive him for punching Julius Hodge in the nuts.
Let's go.
Tournament, Wake Forest, NC State. You don't punch New Yorkers in the nuts and get away with it. I will take that
talk
for the rest of my life. I ever see Chris Paul, I'm like, I didn't forget.
Facts. People really think I'm crazy. Like, yo, why you go? Like, yo, bro, we play basketball. I didn't need to be a blue chip AAU top prospect to know you don't punch another dude in the nuts playing basketball. You might do it accidentally. Things happen. But you don't on national TV
it's
in front of Dickie V. You punch someone in the nuts in front of Dickie V, bro.
It's still on YouTube.
It has got millions of views. Because people can't believe someone was so dastardly in public.
Yeah.
And my question is, if he was that wild to do it on ESPN, the full of the network, how many times was he doing it on the playground?
Right.
That might have been his rep. Like, yo, that little dude, dude, you better wear a cup. I know it's basketball, but you better wear a cup playing, bro.
How many times did he do it on like whatever ACC network they were playing on?
That's what I'm saying. ESPN3. How many nut punches were buried on ESPNU and ESPN3?
Yeah. How many NC State point guards are forever changed because of
facts? Imagine him during tryouts.
Oh my God! Forget it.
At Wake Forest, like, imagine the walk-on point guard, the kid that the computer science major just wants to be on the team, and now I got to go up against a guy who is the third-ranked point guard of his high school class, and he's out here nut punching a computer science major.
McDonald's All-American.
Yeah, and he's kicking me in the nuts. I'm supposed to be kicking him in the nuts so I could get a spot on the team.
Where's Josh Howard? He's got stories,
bro. He has to. I tried to get Julius on this pod. When they tricked off against the Bucks, I slid in the DMs.
Yeah.
He didn't respond, and I get it. I tried. But Josh Howard, don't let me find you, bro.
He's got stories.
I need the stories, bro.
Yeah.
Oh man, that has been Stan Talouis. He is as you hear, he is a funny dude. He's a knowledgeable guy. If you follow him on socials.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
Who is there a comedian that's underrated that people don't really know yet that you're into? And if not, I'll recommend one.
Okay, well, I'll give you a podcast I listen to that has a few comedians I fuck with.
Okay.
I fuck with the Black Phillip podcast with Dante Nero.
Yeah.
Andre D. Thompson pops in every now and then. Yeah, and Harry Tarjanian. I fuck with them.
Yeah. Andre Thompson, great guy. Last time I think I saw him on Halloween at the Stand. Hilarious comic. Jimmy Fallon not too long ago. Dante Nero, super nice dude. I've never met Harry actually. But I'll throw a couple of names out there.
Sure, go ahead.
Eagle Witt is a real dude. He just put out something about I think it's on YouTube. You can YouTube Eagle Witt, WITT, real funny cat, real funny dude.
Okay.
And I'll throw out Alex Babbitt.
I've heard that name. Alex Babbitt. I think I've heard that name.
Like those, there's so many more I could name, but those are two guys that are in that, like they just young doing it differently. Reg Thomas, another one. Like there's, man,
Okay.
I could go down the list, but like
Dope.
there's so many comics that aren't blowing up just yet that are right there, man. I'm just like, there's nights when I'll come home from from a show or whatever. I'm just like, it does get you down, but then you see guys that are just like they're putting in the work, they're putting in the effort, they're writing, and you like those are the guys that need the publicity. So follow those guys: Reg Thomas, Alex Babbitt, Eagle Wit, and hit me up. You could DM me if you ever want a recommendation for a comic. You want to find somebody new. There's tons of New York comics that I could just send your way that I think are just super funny.
And audience, I could tell you from my standpoint, I like to bring people on here who have put in the work, who have been on stages, who have been high in their craft, and Stan has been that. We used to work part-time together at a radio station, at the #1 sports talk radio station in the country, and we both have elevated ourselves outside of that place. And just sometimes it's hard to get credit. Sometimes it's hard to get the looks you're supposed to get. So Stan is someone that I want to make sure I can do anything that I can to make sure he gets the proper look, because he deserves it. Not only does he have the talent, he has the work ethic, and he's been putting out content and grinding for years. All this media entertainment shit is a grind, and it grinds people up. Some people ain't built for it. Some people hop in, and if they don't pop off quick, it's too much for them. They bow out. But you're a testament to the work that it takes and the grind that it takes to put in the work, to keep showing up to shows, to keep putting content out. And now you're doing it, man. You're hosting. You've been on stages. You've been in rooms with some of the best. So I just want to make sure you get your flowers, because
I appreciate it, man. Yeah.
People who look like us, it takes a lot for people to get that type of credit. So I want to make sure you get your flowers, bro, because I've been watching. Always try to support when I can.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
At Funny Man Stan on the Elon app and the Zuckerberg app. Stan Talouis has been my guest. I am the Sam D for the Sam D podcast. We out.